going to go. But like I said, these little islands, when there is a movement for change, it sweeps. It tends to be sweeping. You don't get a close election results you get in Trinidad because we almost split down the middle on ethnically, and we vote on ethnic grounds. They don't do that in those countries. They don't have that ethnic split. So the issues that concern them, I monitor the election, I told you, in Grenada, and when you talk to them, it's usually issues like the economy and the corruption. Those are the two major issues which tend to bother these regions. St. Lucia, Mikey K, I should advise, has a similar problem to Trinidad with burgeoning crime, and it's getting out of control as well. It's a bad situation in St. Lucia. It may be as a result of the economy, but St. Lucia has a terrible crime problem. It's Trinidad and Tobago, St. Lucia, Bahamas, and Jamaica. These are the crime-ridden countries in the region with highest crime rates. So that would also be playing a factor. That would also be a factor playing on this election, as it was in ours.
Yeah. When you speak about the fact that the Honorable Prime Minister, has made it clear her ideology is based in center, I mean, how challenging is that as far as a balancing act? Because when asked about the visit by the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff last week, that's General Dane Kane, she basically put it in, that they were both committed to the narco trafficking, against human trafficking, against the drug running, and she said that was basically the topic. Those were the issues that was focused on, and she said there was no mention of Venezuela. Did she deliberately try to show that, she's not one that is dealing with something that many may say is an interference of a sovereign state, or trying to say that she's directing towards having any sort of confrontation in Venezuela, because she has stayed out of that as far as what she's stated, and made it quite clear that whatever cooperation that she's getting is dealing with issues like human trafficking, drug running, and gun running as well.
So, Mikey K, this is my take on this. Ever since the Trump regime administration came into power in November 2024, she had reached out. She'd reached out as a pragmatic move of a country that was decaying because of the crime rate and an economy in shambles. If it was Obama, or if it was Biden, or if it was Hillary Clinton, she would have still had to reach out, regardless who the leader was in the United States, regardless of whether it was right-wing conservative, the Grand Old Party, or whether it was left Democratic Party. She would have had to reach out, because there was, and there is no other way to deal with this problem. We've had regional initiatives, and I'm talking about the crime problem here. We've had regional initiatives. We've brought in international stakeholders. Right. We've brought in academics doing reports after reports. I was involved in one of those. I've written and published on this subject widely. And we have a good few academics working on it at the UE. We make recommendations. And the problem continued to persist. And we saw hundreds of lives being lost, up to 600 plus per year. Up 2024, 23. It was just horrendous. She campaigned on that. She has a mandate from the population to go after the criminals. And she has been very, very consistent that this is what she is doing. Now, if she has to reach out to top military officials in the US, or she has to reach out to Trump, or she has to reach out to former Democrats, she's going to have to do what she has to do to deal with this problem. She's made it clear this is not about regime change in Venezuela.
Right.
Now, what the United States agenda is, they are saying that they are also after these narco traffickers, because I have explained more than once in this program and others that the drugs coming from South America Trinidad and Tobago and rest of the Anglo-Caribbean for most part is a transshipment point, and then the drugs are sold to North America, the demand side. And that, when they say they're poisoning their people, that is affecting the Americans, the high level of drugs that are coming in from South America through. It's also going through Venezuela. So according to Trump, well, he linked Maduro to this Tren de Aragua drug cartel. That I don't know about. So I don't know if on those grounds they have an intention, the Americans at least, of initiating or enacting regime change. That is not being said either from the U.S. side. So this, I think, this propaganda has been going on for months, Mikey K.
Yeah.
It's been going on for months, and it's still, every time something happens, a new ship comes, they talk about the Gravely, they carried on, the Gravely came, it did what it had to do, it left.
Right.
Now the Ford, yes, it's a big military ship. It's going to cause one of the biggest. It's going to cause,
yeah, that's right.
Will cause a consternation, yes. But, I mean, what are we saying? Is just staying here to go after Maduro. I am looking at the practicality of this, how pragmatic is this? They're in the ocean. To go after Maduro, Maduro is not in the ocean. Maduro is not in the ocean. Maduro is in land in Venezuela. They have to go inland and they have to wage a war. They have to so unless they know exactly where he is, to launch a missile there, which it just does not seem practical that they will know the exact location, because Mikey K, he's not going to be sitting around in the open air waiting for a missile to hit him. Okay, he know the U.S. is in the ocean. He's fully aware of that. And then I heard recently that they were they were talks.
Right.
They were having talks. So we don't know the U.S. side of this. What I think I understand, because I'm following very, very closely Prasad Bises's speeches, her rhetoric, and what is coming out of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, which is our official foreign policy, Mikey K. That is our official foreign policy. What is said by the Prime Minister, it doesn't have to be written. What is said and what comes out of the Foreign Affairs Ministry. Not what is being bandied about in social media, what is being speculated about regime change in Venezuela. Okay? She's saying that these military personnel are coming in here, some to train our people. Right. We saw that system in Tobago is also causing some consternation, that reader system. She's explaining that is to detect crime. That is to detect crime. It's a crime detection device, a high-level crime detection device. So the Americans had to come and show them how to use it. So basically, it's technical know-how they're bringing, expertise they are bringing to the region on military, military matters. The Venezuela thing still remains a U.S.-Venezuela conflict. Now, she's made some comments before. Yes, she made some comments before, but she's not going in that direction. Maduro's government and some of his henchmen are the ones making unsavory comments against her, declaring her persona non grata.
And what have you.
She's not done that to them.
You're correct.
So if they've broken diplomatic ties with Trinidad and Tobago by that persona non grata statement, we did not see her responding in like manner. So what I'm trying to say, Mikey K, I have not seen her deviate verbally and even from her actions on her agenda. On her agenda. She's been extremely consistent. This is about weeding out drugs because it is proven, and this is not speculation. Most of the criminologists, including myself, we have recognized that the number one cause of crime in this region and in Trinidad and Tobago is drug trafficking, narco trafficking. That's our youth are getting into this. Once it reaches our shores, and then the whole turf war begins. and the gang warfare because of drugs. We have another problem, which is domestic violence. It's a different problem, separate and apart. But the number one cause of crime in the region, I will repeat, is drugs, drug trafficking, and concomitantly the trafficking of arms and ammunition. They go together.
And that's a strong point. And I agree with you 100%. And I think this is where the propaganda is so thick. It's at its thick, is that people can't seem to separate the fact of whatever the agenda that the Americans have should nowhere at all reflect on anything that we are doing here in Trinidad and Tobago. The Prime Minister has made it clear, and you said it, and I echo those sentiments, that we need help with some issues. And those issues, of course, is the transnational crimes, which is taking place with gun running, drug running, human trafficking, you name it. And if assistance can come, and they've always assisted, that's just the thing. It would show that we've always gotten assistance from the United States. Now, again, if they have an agenda with Venezuela, why should that reflect on anything that the Prime Minister and this government is trying to do?
So I think that the liberals in the region, and I say left-leaning liberals, the left-leaning liberals in the region, and many around the world, they cannot stomach Donald Trump.
There you go.
So any overtures to Donald Trump is viewed negatively. Is not accepted. Like I said, if it was Obama or if it was Biden or Hillary Clinton, she would still have had to make that move. But it would have been probably more accepted, and even more so if it was Obama.
That's right.
Obama's been well liked in the region. Obama is the Democratic left in the United States, belongs to that party. So is Hillary Clinton. So the problem here, I wouldn't even say it's a problem. I say the issue here, when we have to analyze this, is who the leader of the United States is, as Prasad Bisesa took power and took control of Trinidad and Tobago on April 28th.
Yeah.
It was Donald Trump. He had
I think that's the main issue. I think that, when people talking about they're after this and they want this and they have an ulterior motive, well, that's between them and Venezuela. I mean, can anyone even, envision the fact that whoever it is Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, telling the United States that, they can't come here and be part of training or do anything? Could she outright reject any support?
Well, she reached out to them for support, and she rightly did so.
And there we have it.
And we always have. Dr. Rowley, under the PNM, signed an agreement for assistance and security. We had ship rider agreement in the 90s.
That's right.
We have had so many arrangements. The United States, they have a program for assisting us on security matters because they are also affected by this drug trade. Now, the thing is, Venezuela, Maduro has not been attacking the United States heavily. He's been attacking Kamala Prasad Bisesa. So he is trying to make her the scapegoat. Because all of this is politics. All of this is politics. He's playing his domestic constituency as well, intermistic policy. And if Trump should strike, he would say that is because Prasad Bisesa facilitated that. So even if Trump strikes and she's out of it totally, he will still blame her. He's already made her persona non grata. So this is what you would call a rather tangled web that is being weaved. Oh, what a tangled web we weave. There are many, many dimensions of this conflict. Ideology is one of them. It's under-discussed, underestimated, because we have to keep in mind Maduro is far left and Trump is far right.
Right.
Okay, and people are using that and thinking that this is an ideological battle, a battle of the ideologies. And there is also the economic dimension of Venezuela's oil. Venezuela has about the fourth or fifth largest reserve. They don't produce the most, but the fourth or fifth largest reserves of oil in the world.
Yeah.
Yes, so now it's easier for the United States to get oil from Venezuela because it's so close as compared to Saudi Arabia or Russia, the other big producers, or Nigeria for that matter. But the Venezuelan oil, I have to tell you, is not the best oil, best quality oil in the region. Venezuelan oil is extremely viscous, it's thick, and requires a lot of processing, so it's expensive to refine, as compared to Guyana's Essequibo oil, which is like a #1, grade 1 oil, in that it is a sweet oil as compared to this very acidic oil from Venezuela. So that is one of the reasons why, although Venezuela has these huge, massive reserves, they are in that Essequibo oil. And it's not just oil. There are all kinds of things in that Essequibo region, minerals, gold and silver and diamonds and whatnot. So that's another story. You know, we have seen Irfan Ali himself, you know, they had to deal with that threat. They have to deal with that threat. And as soon as this whole showdown is over with Trump and the military presence in the region, if Maduro is still there, he's going to continue to flex his muscles, because he's not resting until he gets that 2/3 of Guyana. That Essequibo region is 2/3 of Guyana.
Yeah. Let me ask you quickly before we go. The revitalization program, I mean, there was a launch of it at the Diplomatic Center. We've seen pictures where ministers, Mr. Jolene John, Mr. Sobers, Saddam Hussein, over at the UAE, you know, whatever the discussions are taking place, the government is making it quite clear after 9.5 years of economic stagnation that we are open for business. Weigh in on that quickly.
Well, like I said before, she campaigned on 2 main issues, crime and the economy. And she's going after them simultaneously. So we saw the invitation to Exxon very early. They came in. They're now in the deep waters drilling, right? They're saying that they're having some successes. I don't know. You know, we need to see the evidence. We need to see what so far they have done and all that. And she's reached out even when she went to the United Nations heads of government meeting there. She reached out to Emirates and Saudi. She already reached out, and before that, invited Modi here on his way to Latin America. So these are all economic overtures. It speaks to international political economy, foreign policy, economic foreign policy. She has to get money to run her country. She inherited a virtually empty treasury, and she has to get money to run her country. She's just paid the public servants, as promised, 10% and some COLA and whatnot. And that's great. I'm always in support of my sister unions. That's wonderful for them.
Wonderful.
And so, you know, there are other negotiations coming to settle. We got to have some to settle 2020 to 2026, and all the other unions will have more to settle. So the last government wasn't settling any. When they did, it was a very, very paltry settlement. So she has to be prepared to have cash at hand, you know, to have good foreign exchange as well, to engage in heavy trade. Minister Kama Miraj is not making joke. I heard him at a book launch in UWI, his own book launch. And the kinds of overtures he's talking about is things that people never dream about. Massive, they're big. He's going for it. He's going for the jugular.
All right. Closing comments?
Yes, it's interesting times. You know, there's some tension, and naturally there would be when people are seeing these huge warships. However, I think the Prime Minister has been consistent and rational. The Prime Minister has not been encouraging war and not asking for war. Okay, she's made overtures to the President, the current President of the United States, because he happens to be the President of the United States, to assist her on a war on drugs, and even to assist her with regard to the economy.
I agree. Thank you so much again. Always a wonderful insight and bringing to us, of course, a different perspective on what's taking place. Do enjoy the rest of your evening, and of course, I will be checking in with you periodically.
Thank you so much, and thanks to our viewers.
Thank you. Hey, quick break. When we come back, attorney at law, Kyle Tak Singh, right here on The Observer.
Your heart does so much for your body, your life, your loved ones. But modern stress, diet, and lifestyle can tip the balance, especially with every passing day. Heart XL delivers high-potency omega-7 palmitoleic acid from sustainable pollock oil to elevate HDL and support a healthy metabolism.
Inflammation and low HDL put your heart at risk. Heart XL's omega-7 helps reduce C-reactive protein and support healthy HDL, keeping your heart strong.
Heart XL, nourish your heart, sustain your life.
When you say TNT's construction boss, then there's only one company, Lacroix Construction Services Limited. specializing in general construction, industrial maintenance, manpower resources, transportation and lifting, and equipment rental, excavators, bulldozers, dump trucks, lighting systems, and everything for your project. We have affordable prices. Call now 267-0000 or 431-0012. Lacroix Construction Services Limited, TNT's construction boss.
Where does disease start? It often begins silently. No pain, no symptoms, just inflammation quietly damaging your body. Our choice is food, stress, pollution, all feed inflammation. Chronic inflammation is the root cause of many modern diseases.
You can't go back in time, but you can start addressing inflammation before it becomes disease.
Omega XL is a natural inflammation fighter clinically researched with over 30 fatty acids and no fishy aftertaste. Available Caribbean-wide at pharmacies and health food stores. Call 1-868-225-0410 for more information.
For all top quality and affordable hardware supplies, no one beats Midland Hardware, located number 97 Eastern Main Road, Arouca. Midland stocks the #1 brands in hand tools, garden tools, water tanks, power washers, generators, water pumps, kitchen and bathroom faucets, along with face basins and toilet sets, blocks, lumber, steel, sand, gravel and topsoil. Also check out Midland for steel windows and assorted designs of metal curtain rods. Everything for home and business projects. Payments via links, credit cards, online payments, or cash on delivery. WhatsApp 327-7761 or call 646-2144. Open every day from 8 a.m. From foundation to finish, it's all at Midland.
Is high blood sugar the root cause of diabetes? Most people think high blood sugar is the problem. The truth, it's inflammation. Insulin resistance is the root cause of diabetes. Reducing that inflammation is key. Omega XL is a natural option. Not fish oil, but a patented green lip muscle extractor with over 30 fatty acids, including EPA and DHA. Clinically studied, backed by over 30 years of research. Stay tuned.
Omega XL. Power your health.
Husqvarna, a global leader in outdoor power equipment, known for its high performance, durable and innovative products, tested and proven by generations of professionals. Full after sales and service support whenever you need it. Contact Provar Distributors Limited, 223-9438 to find a dealer near you.
If you live with diabetes, your pancreas works overtime every single day. Between our rich foods and busy lives, chronic inflammation can sneak in, stressing the pancreas and raising the risk of complications. Over time, inflammation can damage these cells, making blood sugar harder to control.
Protecting your pancreas from inflammation is a smart way to support healthy blood sugar management.
Backed by science, Omega XL is a natural anti-inflammatory with over 30 free fatty acids, proven to help reduce inflammation at its source. Learn more online or ask your local pharmacist.
Oh gosh, this place hot and the AC in this car not working.
Check Ryan Air. Ryan Air is ranked among the best in TNT for auto air conditioning service. They specialize in repairing and servicing all makes and models of vehicles and heavy equipment. They also stock a wide range of parts. Give them a call at 640-5828 or visit them at number 41 Kane Farm Road, Tacarigua, or email ryanairac@gmail.com. For prompt and efficient service, look no further than Ryan Air.
And we are back. Thank you, Master Control. And don't forget, our bodies are under stress from environmental toxins to work stress to poor food choices and low nutrients in the food we eat. Our bodies are under a lot of stress, and all of these can lead to high inflammation levels. Excessive inflammation can lead to a large number of health problems that cause pain and damage to the body. So please, pick up your bottle of Omega XL today for the reduction of inflammation in the body, and it is one of the most powerful, all-natural, anti-inflammatory supplement on the market today. Joining us is a gentleman who also is no stranger to the Observer. Let me say a pleasant Sunday good evening to attorney at law, Kyle Taklak Singh.
Good evening,
Good
Mikey,
evening,
good evening
sir.
to you
Always
and
a
the
pleasure
listeners.
to have you on, man. Thank you.
Good evening.
There's some controversy in the public because of the Prime Minister's lack of disclosure in relation to the extent of the exercises between the U.S. and Trinidad. Is this something legally required to be public information, or is the government acting unlawful in their position on these matters? Because people are saying that they're in the dark, people making videos saying we're in the dark. I don't know if TNT cut the lights, I don't know what dark they're talking about. But is that unlawful?
Well, first of all, absolutely not. I don't see any unlawfulness in the government's action, nor do I see any type of illegality in their decisions or, let's say, posturing in this matter. Let's break it down a bit.
Right.
Firstly, there is a right to information. There's a general right of every citizen, Mikey, to access information that may be publicly available or that the public may be a repository of, in order for the citizen to be more informed, to take better decisions, to advance their own political causes, reliefs, opinions, etc. That is a general right, but it's not an unqualified right. I mean, first of all, we could remember for the examples where citizens have had to go to the Privy Council, for instance, to get information on matters that concern the public. I remember the dropping of the charges against Malcolm Jones, dropping of the case where we had to go to the Privy Council to find out why and to get the legal opinions and that sort of thing, when the last government refused to disclose such information to the public. So, I suppose politically one wonders if the same persons who are now championing the release of public information forgot about that importance in the last 10 years. But, put politics aside. The law has always carved out a special or a special circumstance, or carved out an exception for national security matters. I think that is clear and obvious. The law has always said that matters of national security are matters within the exclusive and sometimes sole domain of executive decision making and executive discretion. What does that mean? It means that the executive, which is a duly elected democratic government, is entitled to take certain decisions in relation to national security, and some of those decisions can also involve how much information the public should have in relation to these national security matters. That is the law. Now, it does not mean that there is an iron curtain around national security matters. It does not mean that the public should not know anything. Certainly, there should be some form of information given to the public. Look, there are issues, there are exercises, there are alliances, there are collaborative efforts being made. But when it comes to the nitty-gritty, the detail, the exact plans or procedures that are taking place, well, there are good reasons, and I would say good policy reasons, which the law requires or which the law recognizes, that support the executive decisions not to be fully transparent on these reasons. Easily. You could think of one. There's tipping off. You obviously don't want to tip off. Let's use the scenario that's happening. You obviously don't want to disclose every single operational detail to tip off these cartels and drug runners as to exactly what are the plans, where are the various mechanisms or apparatus or installations that could intercept them. You're not going to do that. Secondly, if it is sensitive information is being shared with the government by another government, let's just say, and this is hypothetical, I don't know and you don't know, Mikey, but let us just say that the U.S. government has shared information with the Trinidad government about issues that are taking place within our geographic space. Those matters are highly confidential. Do you expect the U.S. to share any intelligence or information with our security forces ever again if the Prime Minister or the National Security Minister went on TV and said, "Hey, this is what the United States has told us is going on"? Obviously not. So you could actually prejudice.
And I'm glad you brought that up there,
Yeah,
Mr.
yeah.
Taklakson, because when you hear people talk, there's a training session taking place. The Prime Minister has made that clear. We know that it has always taken place in the past. We've
Yes.
always had U.S. support and their training our
Ever since
personnel.
Shiprider.
All right, ever since Shiprider. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Now, if the U.S. has an agenda, then and the media wants to find out, then hopefully the U.S. will share with you what their agenda is.
I agree. Why is it that some of our very good and skilled and brave reporters don't go down in the U.S. press corps and ask questions of Donald Trump and treat with the answers that Donald Trump has given them? And I say that with all due respect.
But but hold on. But you have people like acting as if, well, I need to know everything. I need to know whether or not I need to go and get a bottle of gas, get some kerosene. I need to know if I had to grab a box of Cricks. I need to know if I have to have a can, which I don't, because listen, what does that have to do with the government telling you something? It is not the government's agenda as far as anything taking place in Venezuela. The Prime Minister has made it clear she is not part and parcel of any regime change in Venezuela. And if you want those answers, all these brave people that like to go to post-cabinet conference and talk about this and make this, you're right. Go to the U.S. Embassy or wherever, perhaps hop on a flight and
press corps,
and ask your questions. Go ask your questions.
Agreed. And that is a recognition that Trinidad and Tobago is a very small cog or part of a wider and large geopolitical scenario that is taking place with respect to the Venezuelan regime and the United States. Certain information may or may not have been given to our government. They would use that information to protect and insulate Trinidad as much as it could, and we trust that they would do that. But part of that exercise can't be disclosing the details of every single intel or even the tenor of the intel given to us. What that would mean is that the United States as a partner would simply not trust that it can give information to the government to take the necessary steps, because it becomes disclosure. Could you imagine the head of the cartel going on TV6 News and finding out all of the U.S. plans and all of the information the Trinidad and Tobago government has, and then take steps to avoid kill or capture? That certainly can't be the case. And I mean, that brings us to the third thing that I wanted to say. There is a difference between, and this is something that I think people don't understand, there is something called direct democracy and there's something called representative democracy. In Trinidad and Tobago and in most countries, we have something called representative democracy. What that means is that citizens are not a part and parcel of every single governance decision that is taking place in the country. It means you don't get a direct say in every single decision that takes place. What you do is you elect representatives, you elect a government, you elect an administration to make decisions on your behalf, and then you hold them politically accountable in 5 years if necessary. What we have done, we have seen for the last 10 years, is a complete and catastrophic failure in national security. Catastrophic and complete failure. The people of Trinidad and Tobago has elected a government to take national security decisions on their behalf. And that is a matter of trust between the public and the government. That is not to say that a citizen should sit back and say, I trust the government to make every decision on my behalf. Nobody is saying that. Right. Nobody is saying that. But the fear-mongering and the panic that people are trying to instill that somehow Trinidad and Tobago has been conscripted in a war, and that somehow citizens have to go and sign up to fight war, or somehow that we are going to be part of an invasion. The Prime Minister and the government has debunked that. We are no part of that, right? We are no part of that. So insofar as any decisions are taken, it is clear what has come out. Yes, there may have been some vagueness in terms of what information we had and didn't have and at what time, etc. But these matters are fluid. These matters are shifting sands that are happening at all points in time, and therefore the government has not, in my view, failed to either keep the citizens appropriately informed as to what is taking place. What you have is, as I said, some little social media trend taking place to panic people into thinking that the government doesn't have this matter under control, but it is clear that these are matters that far exceed what our government can or cannot do, and it is doing its best with the information it has to support its allies or to play a role in order to protect the citizens of this country. And I see no issue with it.
I agree with you. Now, actually, the government has recently passed the Stand Your Ground law in Parliament. And it seems that opposition is arguing about the lack of some form of immunity provision in the law. And that is, of course, the homeowner should be immune from prosecution. What say you on this issue?
Well, right. So I looked at the debate and what I saw is the only point that the opposition seems to be harping on is that the law somehow does not totally immunize homeowners if you are invaded. Now, let me just set that straight. No law can totally immunize any citizen from being investigated by the police and potentially being prosecuted for a crime. What a law does is define what a crime is and sets the parameters upon which you may be judged as to whether or not you've committed a crime. The Stand Your Ground bill has brought clarity to the law. So previously what you had was vague common law, I would say vague common law principles as to what is self-defense, what happens when someone enters your home, what happens if you pull out a shotgun and someone comes in with a penknife, etc. Right? And unfortunately, the position that may have been taken by the police in the past as well, let's charge and prosecute and let the courts deal with it. With this law, it clearly sets out criteria, it clearly sets out considerations, it clearly shows the police and prosecutors and any person involved in taking the decision to charge a citizen who has defended his home, that the law now is on the side of the homeowner. And if you are to err, you ought to err in favor of the homeowner. Right. And that is what the law does. It gives you policy and it gives you clarity. No law, Mikey, could state in the law, oh, and by the way, if someone kills an intruder, they are not to be investigated by police. That is absolute rubbish, and I'm surprised to hear that from senior counsels on the
other side. No, you're right. It makes you wonder. I mean, we're not talking about noble savages here. We're talking about a civilized society, whereas there are consequences, but most importantly, due process. There's an investigation that has to take place, and once everything seems to be within the realm of the law, then fine. But you're right. Nobody can say straightforward.
And it is set out for a police officer or a prosecuting officer or the DPP. They say, look, these are now the factors I have to look at carefully before I make any decision to charge. And the act spells out the right of the homeowner to defend his home and even use lethal force. So those things are no longer in question and vague or anything like that. And it only talks about, well, if there's gross disproportionate, right? So you have a good act. It works. It won't be perfect. And there may or may not be improvements as we go along, but the point is, and I am satisfied as a homeowner, I am satisfied as someone, who wants the right and the legal protection to defend his home in the event of an intrusion. I am satisfied that the law does what it needs to do.
Yeah, of course, the Prime Minister made it quite clear that once it passes in the Senate, her next focus will be the firearms legislation.
Yes.
Yeah, which is very, very important.
Well, that has to be updated. I have noticed a trend because I do a lot of these judicial reviews when people are denied applications for firearms. You have to go to the Firearm Appeal Board and then you have to judicial review. It is clear that that needs examination. For instance, now I could tell you that the approach of the Firearm Board is that you have to be either a victim of crime or you must have a threat against your life in order to get a firearm. Now that's ridiculous. Why would someone need a firearm after you've been the victim of a crime that could have led to your death or to the serious injury of your family before you could get a firearm? Or why would you need to have actual threats to your life if I wish to access a firearm? When random persons, you could be sitting in your home as a priest with your congregation in full favor of you, and a random home invader comes into your house to rape, to rob, to kill, and at that point, what are you going to say? Well, I never applied for a firearm. Right now, or because of the situation we have inherited, Trinidad and Tobago suffers and still has a bit of a crime problem or crime problem. We need, some citizens may take the decision to access firearms to defend themselves if you qualify, if you have good character, if you have temperate, you have good temperament, you are mentally sound, etc., you're fit, you're healthy, you're trained. So why not? Why should you have to wait for a threat, or why should you have to wait to be a victim of a crime in order to have a firearm? That seems to me to make no sense, and I think that the government needs to examine that.
The thing about it, Kyle, is that you would have people talking about the fact that, you know, you're trying to just put guns in the hands of people, you're not going to have checks and balances and all of that. But how could anyone sit there, be part of an administration, and see these archaic laws on the books, still there, these old laws on the books, and not say to themselves, listen, the world is changing around us, people have a right to these things, this should be part of their basic fundamental rights, and let's do something as things start to evolve, rather than just sit there, do absolutely nothing, and when an administration comes in and says we want to make this right, we want to make this in the benefit of the people, the citizens, then they have so much to say against it.
Yeah, I agree with you. And we have to look at updating some of these laws because, you know, laws have to change as the needs of society change.
Of course.
At one point in time, I'm sure Trinidad and Tobago did not have a proliferation of firearms in the hands of criminals and gangs throughout the country. And therefore, you may not have seen a right to easily grant or to more liberally grant firearms to citizens who wish to have them. Maybe you grant it for sport. But that scenario has now changed, unfortunately, as we know. And the police can't, as a citizen, I may take a decision, look, the police can't do everything, the protective forces can't do everything. I wish to have myself trained. I am a man of temperate means, a good temperament, I have good psychology, a good mental state, I'm fit, I'm healthy, I can understand the use of a firearm, I have no bad character, no criminal, no record, etc. So I wish to obtain a firearm in order to protect myself if necessary. There's nothing wrong with that, and in any event, you already have a law which says I can apply to be considered for a firearm. Well, why not update the criteria in relation to that, so that persons can now access firearm rather than you have to wait to be the victim of a crime before you can then say, hey, maybe I need a firearm. Those things have to change, and I agree with the government's intention to look at that. I am someone who has said that, look, at some point we may need a firearm authority, which is if you have a firearm, you may have to pay a fee so that you have proper investigators who could come and ensure and regulate the thing better, and access and even process applications faster than the police service is doing it. Of course, with the help of the police and the commissioner of police. But, you know, right now to make an application, you're talking about 2 or 3 years before your application is even considered. So we may have to have another mechanism to deal with it, at least the investigative process, where it can end up at the desk of the commissioner faster for approvals.
Yeah, I agree with you. And the thing again, there are those who will have so much to say when they had the opportunity to start making these changes, and of course make these changes due to the fact that things are always changing around us. Things have evolved, society has evolved, but yet they hold on to it. And it makes you wonder just how serious they are when it comes to making these things, you know, a lot better. So it's any closing comments? Go ahead.
No. You know, I think people need to panic. I mean, I don't think there's much panic, but I've looked at it. Obviously, if there is some issue that threatens the security of Trinidad and Tobago, I am just as concerned as any other citizen.
Of course.
I am not seeing any issue out there. I am seeing that Trinidad is playing, is a part of a wider geopolitical situation, and it is doing the best that it can in all of these circumstances.
I agree with you, and those who are still talking about it in the dark and they want to know, and I think too it could be a matter of too much HBO, too much Cinemax. I really don't know. Too much.
well, sometimes sometimes it is knowledge and understanding that lights the way.
Yeah.
So maybe they should take the time to acquire a little more knowledge and understanding of the situation, and that should give them the light that they require.
Thank you so much. And as the debate continues and these laws and legislation come up, we are going to have you right here on The Observer, clear in the air for us, please. You know, many people may not be, of course, legally inclined, so we can break it down and have you been, as you've been doing so well. Thank you so much again.
Always.
And
Take care.
do enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you so
Same
much.
to you. Good night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. And that was attorney at law Kyle Taklak Singh, always breaking it down for you so you can have a better understanding. You know, when I get the feedback from this program and from these interviews, it makes you wonder then what is legacy media really doing? I mean, what kind of news are they carrying? What kind of print media do we have? Because it always seems to be, all right, we understand that you have to sell, but at what expense? That's the thing. What expense? I mean, you have people panicking. You have people who are simply losing it because they don't know, and you make them believe that there's a certain expectation that they need to have from the government, and many times it's definitely some unfair expectations. I mean, you want Kamala to just be telling you every minute she has to come on the air or something, have a press conference. Hey, by the way, we're going to do this. There's going to be a radar. There's going to be... And then there are those individuals who seem to be always excited when a mic is pushed in their face. Listen, if the media hasn't been hanging you down, if the media hasn't even been looking at your press releases from your office, when they catch you with that mic, please think. Before you say anything, think. Stop. And before you open your mouth, stop and think again. Because trust me, it's something they're after, and at the end of it all, you may just spew something out of your mouth that just sets everything back. So please, please, let's think. Hey, the lines are open, 225-9790, and for those of you who want to make your WhatsApp calls, 494-0938. Let's see if we can squeeze in some calls before we make our way out of here this evening. Again, I want to thank the good folks, John Michael Alibokas, Counselor Marabella West, promoter, entertainer, producer, and of course this evening you heard we officially added to his name the title Political Campaign Strategist. Hey, you had to get Jackie. The man went and he made it happen. And of course, Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs and in the Office of the Prime Minister and the MP for Mayaro, Mr. Nicholas Morris. He is really and truly starting to heat things up, and we're seeing him grow strength every day. Let me take this call, folks. Good evening, sir.
Good evening to you, Mikey K.
Good evening, sir.
And good evening to your, good night to your listeners in the region, the Caribbean, and international. And a good night to the people of this great land. And Mikey, the facts remain, since after April 28th, this country is the #1 country today in the Caribbean. This country, everybody want to come to, everybody want to see, everybody want to know about this small island. This great twin island will be called Chits, Soka, Calypso, Pan, and Chutney, where we love dearly to see all race live together as one. It's always welcoming to hear, I call him Senior Counsel, Kyle Taklak Singh. Always good to hear his point of view of the law, because you know he have enough knowledge and he's very bright in the law. Yeah, I call him a constitution lawyer because he really do a good job. And you know he is the ground lawyer. No matter he might be sitting on a big seat, but he also stay on the ground a lot. And you know today when I see that radar going up in Tobago, I feel much safer. I want to tell this country that radar is to detect any missiles coming to our country. That radar there, that American radar there, is to detect any illegal alien coming to our country. Drug cartel, killers, murderers, rapers. When you know that, the people, Nicholas Maduro, do not want them. But they send them in Trinidad here. They send criminals, people who is rapists, people who is known terrorists. That is what we have in this country here. And we have to clean it up. We have to clean it up. Mikey, our country is so close to Venezuela that if we did take God out of the heart and go and vote for the PNM, this country would have been under sanction today. Our country today, once again, we on the world map. This is not the first time we are on the world map. We have all kind of sportsmen. We win the Miss Universe, everything. So they know about us. But we on the world map where we see international journalists, international, well-established media coming to our country as a Zero, Fox, ABC, CNN. They are here in Trinidad and Tobago. They are here. They are here. And it's very nice to see that we have a good relationship with the United States of America. And it's what surprised me this morning to see the Express front page, TNT on the edge. TNT on the edge. And I had to ask, how TNT could be on the edge? When last night, on the avenue was over hundreds of people. When it happened in South, in the North, in the East and in the West, where that hundred of people was outside shopping, preparing for Christmas. How the legacy media could print that the country not on no edge. It's people like the legacy media who is continue with the fake news and pushing the fake agenda, because now the gun on the left, this communists, the gun on the left, today is the Democrat PNM. That's what the Express are. The left, the Democrat PNM, that's what their agenda, that's what they are pushing. Our country today, nobody coming here, no more. No Venezuelan want to jump on the boat with 6, 7, put the children life and death could the boat could turn over and the boat could think. There's some days ago, as I close, some days ago, there was a visitor here by the name of Kane, General Kane, General Dan Kane, one of the highest ranking officer, a foot suit, not a guest general, not a general, we sit down in the Pencondi, a general who was on the ground, who was in Iraq, who ISIS. So we are focused on getting out the drugs, removing the guns that we have in our country, that coming in our country. Today, our economy are booming again. The government could offer 10%. So you know our economy are booming again. That is what happening to our country. Our country is big. Don't be misled by that guy. No. It's like American children and American China. But the Caribbean, and we need them since from 1960 on we own nothing. We independent. Most of these countries now who invest.
So true.
We more independent than them. We more experienced than them. We know how to govern a country more than them. So maybe there's so much to say. I know time is short, but we need PR, have more information, because Mikey, I will tell on this program here, I have the freedom of speech with the Facebook. It's Facebook, is the internet. What see the election is the TikTok. What make the UNC win the election is legacy media.
So true.
They have tried to hide we and block we down. It's the social media called the UNC to really let people who like me and others and who like sending out the right message, they were reaching the right people. But that
thank you.
We could deal with that. We could lock them up. But otherwise than that, let me leave our social media as well. Thank you very much, Mikey.
Thank you so much, Kingsley. Thank you so much. Very, 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 very powerful there. Thank you so much indeed. All right, folks, that brings us to the end of our program. Thank you so much. Again, as I was saying, political scientist Dr. Indira Ramprasad, laying things out so it's easy to understand. An attorney at law, Kyle Taklak, saying thank you so much. Breaking it down, of course, many people, as I said, may not be, legally inclined, but they do have a better understanding when it is that, we bring people like Mr. Taklak Singh on to, break it down to the lowest common denominator. And that's what it's all about. So, want to thank you so much. Until next Sunday, be safe out there. We are observing and we're talking about it. The action is taking place. Do have a good one and be safe. Have a productive week ahead. Thank you.
The Observer. Behold!